and welcome to No Play Sports. I'm James alongside Pat. Today we're going to be talking about just a few topics regarding the offseason and so on and so forth. Let's start with earlier in the week, the Braves signed free agent pitcher Charlie Morton to a one-year deal worth $15 million. Morton was pretty good in 2020, especially in the playoffs where he had below a 1 ERA. Had a great 2019 season, has been a very consistent pitcher ever since he started playing for the Astros. $15 million is a lot of money for a 37-year-old who's coming off one of his worst seasons since 2016. Pat, thoughts?
Well, when you look at it, for the Braves specifically, if you look at before last season, they signed Cole Hamels to a one-year, $18 million deal. So if you look at that signing of Hamels versus the signing of Morton, almost seems like a steal, even though they did certainly overpay for Hamels, even if he did end up playing. But, I mean, I love the signing. It's a young rotation. Now they have a veteran leader of it. I mean, I don't think you can really say much things that are bad about it.
Yeah, I agree. And because they're a very young team and it's only a one-year deal, it kind of solidifies that rotation. Like you said, they're young. They're not paying a lot of guys a lot of money. Obviously, Freeman's getting paid, but Morton now with $15 million becomes their second largest contract for 2021. So I think overall this is a win for the Braves. That rotation is going to be deadly in 2021. You've got the likes of Fried, Soroka, and Anderson, along with Morton and Drew Smyly towards the end. And although he might not get a spot in there, you also have Kyle Wright who could get a spot, Tuki Toussaint who could get a spot. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty lethal.
Bryce Wilson.
Yeah, he's been good at times. Let's talk about some trade rumors.
There's a lot.
Yeah, there were 3 players who were rumored to be traded throughout the week. Also, in a very short amount of time, we had the Rays are rumored to be shopping Blake Snell, along with Carlos Correa of the Astros possibly on the move, along with the Reds GM Nick Krell saying that Sonny Gray could be on the move. So 3 players, obviously high-caliber players who are borderline all-stars. Snell had a great 2020 season, as had Gray was good as well, so was Correa, who's been a little bit injury-ridden but is obviously a top shortstop in the league. Let's start with Snell. Is there a team that you think is a great fit for him?
I mean, anytime a pitcher comes up, you see this team involved. And there's a certain guy on that team that everybody wants to see in the playoffs. That is the Los Angeles Angels. And they got to do something for Mike Trout. We've been saying it. They brought in Rendon. Well, that's great. But the offense was already good. They need pitching. They just don't have it. So I think if they can bring in Blake Snell, which they certainly can, they have a pretty good farm system, enough to bring in Snell. I think they should because he's he's a tier A pitcher. Yeah. I mean, he's a former Cy Young Award winner, had another great season this year, had certainly a great start in Game 6 of the World Series as well. But, yeah, I think that would be a great pickup for the Angels.
Definitely. And there's another team, I think, in the AL West that could pursue him. I saw this on a rumor once, and I kind of liked it, which would be the Seattle Mariners. They took a big step forward in 2020. They've got a really young team, especially with the likes of Jared Kelenic and Julio Rodriguez, their premier outfielding talents on the way. But then you also have guys like Jake Crawford and Kyle Lewis and Mitch Haniger who have incredible potential and have provided at the big league level. Pitching has been a bit of a problem, but you can't overlook Marco Gonzalez and Justice Sheffield. I think possibly grabbing Blake Snell, especially because they have a very strong farm system and the Rays are trying to get as much as they can for Snell before they're going to have to pay him, which they obviously cannot do. I think the Mariners have enough to get a trade done. I also agree the Angels need to make a move soon. I've also heard them around the likes of Sonny Gray, who has been in trade talks, who we're going to talk about next, James Paxton, Trevor Bauer, and some of the other top free agent pitchers. So I think if the Angels are going to make a move for a starter, I think Snell makes a lot more sense. He's had more consistency throughout his career and is a little bit younger than Sonny Gray.
Been in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's been better in the playoffs than Sonny Gray. So I'd like to see Blake Snell in an Angels uniform or a Mariners uniform or any other team that's going to pursue him. I think he's a great starter and can lock down a great rotation. Another team that might come to mind would be the White Sox.
Love to see Snell go to either the White Sox or the Mariners as well. I love the Mariners as buyers moving forward until all their prospects are developed, because the way they're headed, they should have a really good team. Obviously, everybody knows the White Sox have a good team. It's pretty hard to overlook some of the young talent they have. It'll be a great pickup for them too, especially if you look at a rotation with Giolito, Keuchel, and Snell. You're looking at a division winner there.
Next guy we're going to talk about is Sonny Gray. He has been rumored around a few teams. The Reds are open to trading him. I don't think they're as much shopping him as the Rays are shopping Snell. Nick Krell, the GM, said that was a possibility. He also says he wants Trevor Bauer to come back, and I'm sure the Trevor Bauer and the Reds never had an ill relationship or anything. I just think he's going to be going for some big money, and the Reds have guys like Joey Votto and Mike Moustakas and Eugenio Suarez locked in long terms on bigger deals. So, Gray, do you have any thoughts on where he might head?
I mean, you look at the teams that are normally big buyers in this sort of sense when it comes to trading pieces, and personally, I think a lot of them don't make sense. One that personally I would like to see is so you have the Dodgers. Of course, the Dodgers, World Series champions, Betts locked in long term. That team's going to be amazing still for a really long time. And also rumored to be chasing Nolan Arenado. Then you look at their division rivals. Who has a chance in that division? Nobody, not even the Padres. Padres don't have a chance at winning that division unless they do something.
Yeah.
I can say that confidently. Now, I would like to see Sonny Gray on the Padres because they have a lot of young pitching talent that isn't top-tier prospect level that could go to Cincinnati, and they could bring in a win-now pitcher. I would love to see that.
Yeah,
Have
and
them
their rotation.
not at the Dodgers early.
Yeah. Their rotation's already so strong. Obviously, they're going to be missing Clevenger for 2021 due to his Tommy John. We talked about that in our last episode. But they still have Zach Davies and Dinelson Lamet and a lot of other really solid guys in there. I think Sonny Gray kind of solidifies that rotation as one of the better ones in baseball. Mackenzie Gore, one of the top pitching prospect, probably the top pitching prospect in all of baseball, is right around the corner. That team is going to be really strong, and that's one of the only teams I think that have a solid chance at even challenging the Dodgers. So,
well, we saw the Braves take the Dodgers to 7,
yeah,
and they are better already with Morton.
This is true. There's not a lot of teams, though. There's not a team in the Central, and I think as of right now, it's just the Braves and the Padres, especially if the Padres make the great. Although the Padres couldn't take down the Dodgers right now with their team, but if they do grab Sonny Gray, that would be a great trade for them. They have a big enough farm system to acquire a guy like Gray without having to give up Mackenzie Gore, Luis Patino, or some of their other prime prospects. So, yeah, I think that makes sense. I think also the Angels make sense for Sonny Gray. He's a little bit of a bigger contract, but they need to win soon. They're not going to keep getting solid production from some of their older players forever. The team needs to, and soon guys are going to start needing money, and they don't have a lot of money to throw around. So what they need to do is kind of go into win now mode. The next guy we're going to talk about is Carlos Correa, the Astros shortstop. He has had a phenomenal 2020 playoffs and brought the Astros within one game of a second straight World Series appearance. Where do you think Correa may get traded? I know there's a lot of teams that are after Lindor and teams that are rumored around the likes of Andrelton Simmons and Didi Gregorius and Ha-Sung Kim. So is there a team in there or a different team you think that could try and make a trade to grab Carlos Correa?
I think you look at the teams that are going after Lindor, and you say, well, if the Mets don't end up getting Lindor, which we both predicted that will happen, but if they don't, They were rumored last offseason around Correa, so that is a possibility, although there is new ownership, new GM, all of that, so could be looking for different things. But then, if you want to stay in that division, I think the Philadelphia Phillies could be a team to make a move for Correa. That's what I would see happening, them making the strongest
I
move.
agree. I think the Phillies have a little bit of fluidity in their budget right now to make a move for Correa, who is, I think, going to be on arbitration this year. Correa he's had some injury problems, but he hasn't had a big production year since 2017. He was great in the playoffs, like we said. I think Correa is a good fit for them. I think he works well in a lineup with the guys like Harper and Bohm. It's a tough division to be in because the Nationals went from winning the World Series to tie for the cellar with the Mets in that division.
Well, that had a lot to do with losing Rendon, and also, of course, he didn't leave the team, but not having Strasburg.
Yeah.
I think the Nationals could have a pretty quick turnaround, especially if they bring in another bat or two this offseason.
We can't just write off the Nationals like, oh, it's time for them to rebuild. It's not. They're still a very good team. If Trey Turner and Juan Soto in the same lineup is incredible. They're an older team besides those guys because Ryan Zimmerman, Howie Kendrick, who are both now free agents. The team's getting older, and I think making a move for Chris Bryant or DJ LeMahieu, who although are a little bit older, are still in their primes, I think that Nationals team could be back in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. This was not a very eventful week in baseball. I guess the owners and GMs were on Thanksgiving break, but seems like the hot stove will continue to heat up soon. I am now showing on the screen a list of MLB players or verified baseball players who have liked posts. We have an awesome Instagram page. Make sure to go follow us at Double Play Sports 2020. We'll see you next week.